Hi, welcome to the White Oak Library District's virtual programming series. My name is Kelsey, and today we're going to be doing face masks, fabric face masks. So you should have gotten your supplies already at one of our 3 branches. If you haven't, that's completely fine. You can just use any fabric that's lying around. I recommend 100% cotton fabric. And what you're going to need to do is make a 10.5-inch diameter circle. Easiest way of doing that is by taking like a regular dinner plate and then tracing it and then cutting it out. You will also need a needle and thread and some elastic, as well as scissors, and I use a pen as well. So let's begin. So we're going to start off by just cutting out this circle. And this doesn't have to be exact. So now that we have our circle cut off, we're going to make a fold in half. Just make sure that it's creased. And then we're going to make a second fold, like so. Now what you're going to do is, on that second fold, on this side, we're going to cut it. Just make sure that it's lined up. Okay, so now you should have 2 pieces. And on that side that's being held together, we're going to make 2 more cuts. And then 1 more. Okay, so you should now have 4 of these. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them, the print side down, so matching each other. So you have print side and the inside. Okay, and then we're going to sew on the rounded edge. Now I'm going to take a moment and going to thread my needle. And I am no professional by any means, so this takes me a long period of time usually. We're going to want it to be like a double thread, so I usually have it about this length. Cut it, and then we're just going to thread it. Okay, so now we're going to do a simple stitch, and this, even if you have no experience doing this, I didn't until I started doing this craft program. It's super simple. So I just went through it once, and then I'm going to go on this other side and pull it through. And I'm just going to do it one more time as I. And this time I'm just going to make sure I go through the actual loop, and that's what locks it in place. Okay. Now I don't know what the actual term is called, but we're going to do an accordion stitch. And we want to make sure that as we're doing this that we're keeping our stitches really close to each other, because that's going to be the front of the mask. We're going to go in. You can take your time on this. And you're going to go in like that. And just keep going in and out. You're going to want to make sure that you have both pieces of fabric lined up, so there's no spaces. And we're just going to keep on doing this. And when you have a couple of them, you're going to pull it, kind of straighten it out, about that far apart from each other. get to the end, you're going to want to make sure that there's no wrinkles or creases in the fabric and that it kind of lays flat like that. Now we're going to just do our final stitch over here to seal it. And I'm just going to go in like I did before from the back. And if you want to lock it, you're going to want to go through. And then just one more time. And you're all set. And we're just going to cut that off. So once you finish this, you're going to do exactly the same thing on the second one. So you'll have two that just look like that. One thing we're going to want to make sure is that there's no large holes here, and you can just check that by flipping it out like this. And if you do notice that there are large holes, what you're going to do is you're just going to flip it back, and then you're just going to take some needle and thread and fill that in. The only way that might have happened is if the fabric wasn't lined up properly. But once you have it like this, what we're going to do is we're going to flip one, like that. That looks so fun. And then you're going to take the second one and you're going to put it directly on top of it. And now we're going to sew this together, but first we're just going to make sure that this is kind of lined up like that. Doesn't have to be exact, but you're going to want to make sure when you're actually stitching it that it's pretty even. So once you have that, we're going to grab our thread. I'm just going to show you how much I usually use, because essentially what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around here. If you run out of thread here, it can be a little frustrating. So I always give myself a little bit more than I think I'm going to need. So you want to double it like that. And it might be frustrating, especially when you're starting, to have this much thread, but it's even more frustrating running out. So you'll cut that, and then you're just going to thread this. Now that we have our super duper long thread here, we're going to start doing our stitches. And we're going to just leave this little portion, like a triangle, not stitched. So I'm going to start right over here. And we're going to have that go all the way through. And don't get frustrated if, when you do this, it starts to get knotted. That happens. And it probably will happen to me. Okay, so we have that big nice knot there. Just move it over just a little bit. For safety, I always do another one, just to make sure that the stitch isn't going to come out. And we're going through that big opening just to make sure that it actually seals. Okay, so we have that, and now we're going to do that accordion stitch that we were doing before. I'm going to start here, and we just again make sure that these two pieces of fabric are actually lined up. And just pull it through. And as you see, already kind of starting to get a little knotted. All you have to do is pull that a little bit, and you're all set. And we're just going to keep doing that. And you're going to do that all the way around, that side, until you get back to this, and you're just going to finish the knot on this end right here. now that we've gotten to the other side, where we still have this little bit of fabric that we're not going to actually sew, you're gonna go through and you're just gonna make sure that it's straightened out. That way it doesn't bunch up when we actually have our mask on. So as you're guiding it, you'll see that thread will bunch like that, and you're just trying to get it to unbunch. Okay. And it should be able to lay flat. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to seal this off. We're doing it exactly like we have before. Just going to go in like that to seal it. We have it on the other side like this. And pull it straight. Pull it right through, and then we're going to do one more too, just to make sure that it's secure. Go through to lock it. And that's all set. We're just going to cut that now. Now that we've completed the mask, now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it inside out. So the easiest way of doing that is take it on either side, and then you're going to fold it in to itself to that little corner that you have here. And if you want, you can use a pen to kind of poke it through. Make sure that not the ink side. You're just going to poke it through just like that. Making sure you're gentle with it because you don't want it to rip. All that hard work you did. It's starting to look like a mask. No, it's not. One moment. Okay. Now it's starting to look like a mask. Look how great that is. So we're gonna have this little side here that, put that together. Okay. So there we are. Now you're gonna choose which side you like better for it to face out. You want that side, whatever side you're looking for. And then you can, if you'd like, you can sew this. It's not going to affect it because how we're going to put the elastic on there is we're going to fold it in like so, and then one more time. So you're not going to actually need it, but if you'd like, you can sew it. So pick the side that you like, and we're going to put the elastic on the other side. So once you've chosen which side to do, I'm going to choose this side. You're going to fold it, and we're going to get our thread, which I've already prepared, and we have our elastic here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to decide that we want out, we're going to place on the table. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to fold this once, like that, and then we're going to fold it again, about this much space. Because that's where your elastic is going to go through. Now we're going to pick this up, and what I do is to kind of hide it, I'm only going to go through the first layer, so not the second layer, but the first layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like this, kind of pick it up, make sure I'm not on that side, I'm not, okay? And then I'm going to go through that part of the fabric, I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to do the same thing. This is just to make sure that the stitch stays in place. And like we were doing before, we are actually going through that hole right there to make sure it stays, just to have it secure. Okay. Now we're going to do the accordion like we were, but because there's a lot of fabric in between, you're really going to have to just do one at a time. So we'll do our first one. Sometimes it's good to have a thimble on this time so you're not poking yourself, but you don't need one. Just gonna go through. It looks like we kind of knotted a little bit. And it's okay if you knot. This would be the inside of the mask. And to kind of have it come even, you're gonna go and kind of measure it. that comes a little too far, so we're gonna come back down, just like that. And you're just gonna keep on doing this until we get to the other side. That looks about even. And again, it doesn't need to be. We just wanna make sure that it's secure, it doesn't fall off. You don't need too much thread for this part. Because I know when you have a lot of thread, it becomes difficult to work with. Okay, just a couple more stitches. We want to end on this side of it, just like so. We'll do that same thing where we're only going through that top layer. Come like that. And go through, just like that. We're gonna do that one more time to make sure that it stays in place. Okay, so we got one of those. Now you're gonna cut this and you're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Okay, now that we've finished both of these, now we're just gonna feed the elastic right through. And if you didn't make it large enough to do this easily, then all you'll need is something just to poke it through. This doesn't seem to want to, but you just keep on doing this, guiding it through until you get to the edge there, and then pull it through. Okay, now we're just going to knot this. Just like that. And you can actually hide the knot. Just pulling that through like that. And there's your ear hole. So we're just gonna do one more on this side. And this is almost ready to wear. Just gonna do that knot again. And you're all set. Thanks so much for joining us. Now you have your very own book print fabric mask that you can wear at your library.